Oklahoma State. And even when Sam may have not been putting on the type of Heisman performance that maybe people wanted to see, or maybe the defense wasn't producing touchdowns on their own, Texas could still grind out a win.
Yeah, the fact that Texas came out of that game victorious is a shower of how good of a team they actually are. Adam?
I think it was stopping their two big playmakers on Oklahoma State, Chuba Hubbard and Tyron Wallace. Chuba Hubbard and Wallace both came in leading the league in their respective categories, and Chuba Hubbard had 37 carries for only 121 yards, and that's 3.3 yards a carry, if I do my math correctly. And he was coming in with big numbers, and they tried to establish the run game, and we weren't going to let it happen. And I think defense was the reason why. And the sloppiness came really just from the special teams, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tylan Wallace was held to only 5 catches. None of them were touchdowns.
Exactly.
And he torched the Longhorns last year.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you got?
I want to say I have in the offense. I know the defense, they gave up a lot of points, a lot of yards. That was mostly because of special teams' faults. But, like, the offense, Sam Ehlinger, he had that one costly interception, but he's hauling the football down the field. Brandon Eagles, 73-yard touchdown. Duvernay, he hasn't been able to win stop this year. 39 catches, no drops, 4 touchdowns. The offense keeps moving like it's been moving. They have no problem keeping up with the best. We saw that with LSU, a top-ranked defense. They put 38 points up. Longhorns are averaging 41 points a game this year.
Yeah, I agree with the offense being well-oiled, but I think the defense played really well given what field position Oklahoma State got every week, or almost every possession. All right, so Robert, you're going to start with 3. Adam, you're going to start with 3. Matt, you're going to start with 2. While Texas got the win Saturday, it wasn't without a price. Josh Thompson, Caden Stearns, and Jalen Green will all miss significant time. But whose absence will have the biggest impact on the Longhorns in the coming weeks? Anybody can go.
I'm going to say Caden Stearns for sure. He came in as the preseason all-first Big 12 team, and he's really the heart and soul of that defensive back core that Texas, which I think is the most ironic part of the entire Texas team, came in saying that their defensive back core was so deep, it was tough for them to choose the 2 starters. Now we're sitting here saying we don't even have anybody that can play that position. It's almost like the running back position all over again. And so that's very unfortunate, but I think Caden Stearns marked the real heart and soul of that defensive back position, and I think without him, the Longhorns kind of don't have that cohesive unit, even if the other guys come back soon. So I think that one's definitely going to hurt them the most, especially the fact that he's going to miss the OU game.
Yeah, and Caden Stearns was a talking point of why people thought the Texas defensive backfield was going to be so good this year, and now he's out. What about you guys?
I think Caden Stearns as well. I hate to agree with Robert, but he's been coming on lately, and I think he's starting to be a leader on this team. And he led the team in tackles last week against Oklahoma State, and it's just really disappointing. They don't have a lot of depth with all these injuries coming up, and it's going to be tough. And he's out for OU, and they really need him for OU.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say Jalen Green. Like he's had his up and downs the whole season, making some good pass breakups, but he's also been missing a lot of open field tackles. He's also the number 1 starting corner for the Longhorns, and without the number 1 corner, they're starting the number 2, number 3 guys who aren't really necessarily experienced enough to be playing against the likes of like CeeDee Lamb and like last week Tyron Wallace and all those guys. So definitely Jalen Green.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Green, the cornerback position was the weak spot of the Texas defense, and now you lose your number 1 cornerback. I think that's a bigger deal than people may realize at first. All right, so after the second question, Robert, you got 6. Adam and Matt, y'all are at 5. Because of the long list of injuries for Texas players because of the long list of injuries, Texas players like Montrell Estelle, Chris Adamora, and Moro Ojomo got significant playing time against OSU. So who is the most impactful for the Longhorns after being thrown into the fire?
Well, I'm going to have to take Adamora. I think I liked that play on defense, and you needed that type of just really defensive depth, I think, was the key. But really, when I'm picking out a certain Longhorn, I can't really do that. I know I mentioned Adamora just a second ago, but I just kind of want to say the entire defensive unit for Texas was just instrumental in that victory, as you mentioned earlier. They were put into some difficult spots because of special teams mistakes, mostly because of special teams mistakes. And they were still able to battle back, force Oklahoma State into some field goals, or even force some takeaways. So that was the huge key, was the whole defense was thrown into the fire.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, I like how you specified one person at the beginning and then said, oh, well, maybe everybody. But I like that.
non-committal answer for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say Montreal Estelle. He came up big with that huge interception, had a pretty good return. He also had 6 tackles and a couple of pass breakups. He filled in perfectly at the safety position. I think that's gonna be really impactful filling in for that, for like Stearns for the OU game. For after that, like Kansas, West Virginia, all those guys.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of going with your point about whose injury hurts more, Jalen Green, because you have Estelle back there for Caden Stearns, then you're a little bit more confident going into the next game.
I'm gonna have to go with Edmore as well. I think he only as a freshman he really stepped up last game, and he was put into a really tough position. And he saved a touchdown late in the game against Oklahoma State with a one-handed deflection. And he's only a freshman from Lakeside, California, and they're gonna have to step up, him and other guys as you mentioned, because they have a lot of injuries, and those injuries are key guys that they're gonna miss a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, he recovered the onside kick,
Yeah.
which was
Barely,
horrifying. Barely got
Yeah.
it. That was another special teams miscue
Yeah.
by the Longhorns. They only had 3 guys over there, and he kind of saved the game for the Longhorns, only being up by 6. But all right, Robert, you're at 9. Adam, you're at 8, and Matt, you're at 8. As we saw versus Oklahoma State, the Texas Longhorns are not a perfect team. What should Texas work on most during the bye week before West Virginia?
I think they're gonna have to work on first off special teams. You can't have 2 muff punts a game, a muff onside kick. They also have to work on their offense. Cause I know I said earlier the offense is good, but like, the amount of times that Sam's overthrown receivers on fly routes, he's overthrew Malcolm Epps twice last week. He's overthrown Duvernay Johnson throughout the season. He just needs to be more on target with the deep throws. And once he does that, I think they'll have a complete offense.
You have anything to say to that?
I think the special teams, you can't, as Matt mentioned, you can't have the miscues that they had, and especially you're up 8 going in almost to halftime. You fumble the punt and you let them score a touchdown. It's a 1-point game at half, and you have to know if you're going to catch the ball. You're up 8. You don't catch the ball in that situation unless it's right to you. Tom Herman has to tell the guys in practice that you have to go over these scenarios so they don't happen in the game. And against Oklahoma, who they have coming up in 3 weeks, I believe, you can't have these miscues. You have to have special teams 100% cleaned up against a quality team like Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know y'all mentioned offense and special teams, but I think that the special teams debacle, I guess you could call it, is going to be kind of shored up. I feel like we have the experienced coaches to get that taken care of. In offense, there are plenty of questions, but I think Sam Ehlinger is going to right the ship, and those questions have already been answered in the running back position by Roschon Johnson, who has been incredible.
Incredible.
I think the defense needs to figure out, first of all, who's going to play. And then second of all, how they're going to fit into this scheme, what they're going to do, how they move forward with those injuries that in a lot of those injuries are long-term injuries, or at least middle-term. So they're not coming back in a couple of weeks. They're coming back after this huge slate of at West Virginia versus OU in Dallas. So these are going to be really important weeks, and this bye week needs to be pretty much almost entirely focused on defense, and Sam Ehlinger is just going to have to do his work with the offense.
Yeah, I mean, Sam's going to produce what he's going to produce, and I think the fact that they are long-term injuries, like you said, this is a get-well week. This is we need to figure out what we're going to do on the defensive side. So, Robert, you're going into the break with 12. Adam, you're going into the break with 11, and Matt, you're going into the break with 10. All right, and that's the score at the end of the first period. When we return, the panel discusses volleyball rankings, the professional football team in Cleveland, and as we get closer to winter, one seat in Michigan is heating up. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Before we get back to business, let's check the scoreboard again for those of you who just joined us. Robert, you're at 12. Adam, you're at 11. Matt, you are at 10. All right, the Texas Volleyball swept the hated A&M Aggies out of Gregory Gym on Friday. But a loss to Rice earlier in the week resulted in the Longhorns falling to number 6 in the country. Meanwhile, in the Big 12, the undefeated Baylor Bears jumped to number 2. The two teams don't play until late October, but we are going to overreact to this today. So, are you surprised that Baylor is higher than Texas in the rankings? And who do you think would win in a head-to-head matchup? Robert, we're going to start with you and then go down the line.
All right, I'm going to say no. I'm not surprised with the rankings. There's a saying every November that there's an election cycle that it's too early to tell. So we're too early to tell which of these teams is genuinely better. Obviously, a loss to Rice is going to knock Texas down in the rankings. And so I think that that is kind of really a non-committal answer in terms of from the AP poll or whoever's voting on this, not the AP, I know that that's not how it works in volleyball. I'm not sure who votes on it.
That's okay.
But I will say, a head-to-head matchup between Baylor and Texas, I think Baylor doesn't slip up like Texas obviously did to Rice. They've looked very consistent. They've finished non-conference play undefeated. And so depending on the home floor, if I'm saying it's in a neutral side or at Texas, I kind of got to give the edge to Baylor.
All right, we got one for Baylor. And to defend Texas a little bit, Rice was ranked, so that's a little tougher opponent than maybe we think about Rice in football. What do you got, Adam?
Baylor deserves to be ahead of us. Let's be honest. They went 10-0 in the non-conference portion of the schedule. They have 5 wins against AP top 20 teams. The 2 of them were on the road in hostile environments, and Texas had the losses we mentioned to Rice. That just can't happen. So Baylor deserves to be ahead of us.
Yeah, well, I mean,
ahead of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, while Texas has played some really good teams, Baylor has also gone through a gauntlet in pre-conference play. Matt, what do you got?
Baylor has every right to be a number 2 right now. They went 10-0 against 4 ranked teams, including Wisconsin and Marquette, who are in the top 10 right now. And Texas lost to Rice. Rice was unranked when they played them, and they lost to Stanford as well, but Stanford's number 1. So I think that, like, Baylor, they're still young. All the players, they've never done this before. I'm not sure how long this is going to last. Texas, they have the experience, vets. I think Texas, further down the season, will start rising back up. But head-to-head matchups, they played twice this year. I think they're going to split 1-1. Well, it's going to win at home.
All right, so we got a clean sweep of Baylor going over Texas in the rankings. I'm going to give the point to Adam, because Baylor hasn't played an SEC cupcake pre-conference schedule. They're playing some tough teams going through a gauntlet. They look like a very good team for sure. So, Adam, you're going to get the point. Moving on, the hype around the Cleveland Browns was real. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong script. The Cleveland Browns are back to being the Cleveland Browns. After some had the Browns as Super Bowl contenders heading into 2019, the Browns are 1-2 with their only win coming against the lowly Jets. So how much trouble is Cleveland in? Is this just a slow start to a contending team, or are the Browns still the Browns? Adam, we're going to start with you.
They're in monster trouble, and let's be honest, they're not that good. They never were that good. Last year, they hit their ceiling, and people were like, oh, last year was a building block. But no, they're just not that good. Baker is overrated as a quarterback. And they have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. 49ers, Ravens, Patriots, Seahawks, 3 of them are on the road. This team could be in for a long, long season, in my opinion.
All right, Adam coming in hot. I like it. Matt, what do you got?
They're bad. There's nothing really like, you got to think about it. They played the Rams. Rams defending Super Bowl, NFC champions. Like, they only lost by 7 points. That's with 5 backups starting in the secondary. But they haven't been good on offense. They beat the Jets. Big whoop. Everybody does that. The Titans beat them down. The Titans aren't even a good team. And their offense is Baker's overrated. Chubb hasn't been finding holes. They don't know how to use this guy, OBJ, over here. They wasted a first-round pick trading for him.
Wow. Ooh. All right. So not only trashing this season, but trashing
the Browns as an
organization. All right, Robert?
Well, I'll say the nation has finally woken up to what I've known the Browns to be. They're a developing team with a developing quarterback with some big-name faces, but not enough talent to really win. Now, the only reason that people are saying, oh, is Cleveland in trouble? Oh, is Cleveland all this? Is because the media hyped them up that way. The media created all of these expectations. The media is the reason why Adam sat here and said Baker is overrated. And I know I'm saying that on a television program, but the media is the problem here. They overrated Cleveland. They hyped them up all offseason to be something that they never were, and now they're disappointed that they're not living up to the expectations that they set for Cleveland. Baker Mayfield never said anything. Baker Mayfield never really trash talked saying, we're going to go 16-0 and win the Super Bowl, and now we're sitting here saying, oh, they're 1-2. This is the worst trouble Cleveland has ever been in. This is not the worst trouble Cleveland has ever been in. And I think 1-2 for some seasons would have been gold for Cleveland fans.
Robert, did you look at my notes before the show?
I did
you
not.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. I agree. The Browns are a developing team. They're not ready yet, but they could be. If a couple things happen in the future, they get some good draft picks. It could be. The media definitely hyped them all up. But like you said, they're developing. So, Robert, you're going to get the point. Moving on to another football team, the Wisconsin Badgers dominated the Michigan Wolverines 35-14 Saturday. The Wolverines barely beat Army and has fallen short of expectations year after year. Since taking over at Michigan, Jim Harbaugh is 55-40 overall and 1-3 in bowl games. Although Harbaugh has led Michigan to 3 10-win seasons, many Michigan fans are calling for his job. But should they be? Should Jim Harbaugh be on the hot seat in Michigan? Matt, we're going to start with you.
Absolutely. When you go winless against ranked, hold on, hear my point. When you go winless against top 10 teams your entire time in Michigan, have a losing record against any ranked teams, and fail to beat your biggest rival, Ohio State, 4 years in a row, and constantly start the season strong but then tank, there's no reason that he should still be coaching that team. And he should have been fired a long time ago.
He's only been there for 5 years.
2 years ago he should have been gone.
Wow. Okay,
It's
so
been
short
disappointment to Michigan fans ever since.
short leash for Matt. Robert?
This is the problem. This is a problem of Michigan fans thinking that their program is bigger than they really are. Because if you go back, since the 2000s, Jim Harbaugh is probably the best coach that Michigan's had. And you go back, you probably have to go all the way back to Bo Schembechler. And we saw how he treated those big bowl games. He did not care about them. He treated the Rose Bowl as just another exhibition. And he said that publicly. And so this is a problem of, sorry to disappoint people like Dave Portnoy, but Michigan isn't that great. Michigan isn't that good. They're not Ohio State. You don't have that history of national championships like Jim Tressel. And so you're sitting here telling me that, oh, he has some 10-win seasons. That is good enough Michigan football. That is not your floor. Your floor is much lower than 10 wins. I think that Jim Harbaugh should not only not be on the hot seat, he should have his job solidified for the next few years.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So we should not be asking, is Texas back?
Is Michigan
back? All right. All right, Adam. What do you got?
You hired Harbaugh to win championships, and if I look at Michigan, how many championships do they have with them? 0. They have 1 bowl win with him. They haven't beaten their biggest rival, Ohio State. And they don't beat any AP top 10, AP top 25 teams. And they said they were going to change the offense this year. Where has it been? They have no offense. Shea Patterson is not the answer. Harbaugh is not the answer. In Michigan, I'm sorry, you're just not that good. You're not on the elite level that Alabama and Clemson are.
So Jim Harbaugh
should be
on
gone.
the hot seat?
Yes.
He should be gone.
That seat should be extremely warm, and he cannot sit there anymore.
Wow. All right. I got to go with Robert again. I think Michigan. You're right. They haven't been good in a while, and Jim Harbaugh kind of brought them out of the gutter to where they are now. And as we saw with Charlie Strong, it takes time, and it doesn't happen immediately, right? So Robert, you're going to get the point. So at the end of the second period, the score is Robert at 14, Adam at 12, Matt at 10. All right. Great debate, guys. Rapid fire is coming up next. Stick around because it is sure to get heated.
We're like
Welcome back to College Crossfire and welcome in to Rapid Fire. Before we get the debate going, let's remind the audience of the score. I need to flip my little paper over again. Robert, you're at 14. Adam, you're at 12. Matt, you're at 10. All right, remember, in Rapid Fire, every question is worth 2 points. And you know what that means? It's anybody's game. Antonio Brown's time in the NFL seems to be over. The wide receiver was released by the Patriots and has announced his next chapter, going back to Central Michigan to continue his education. So in his second go-around in college, what should Brown's new major be? Anybody can answer.
You know, I'm probably going to go business.
Business.
As a business major myself, I think Antonio Brown's definitely about that business. He does not like to be tied down, and he's been freed. They freed me, Grandma. They freed me, Grandma. He's about to say, they paid me, Grandma. Because when he gets that new business major from one of the greatest universities in the country, Central Michigan University, accredited, super accredited, he's going to say, I'm making the big bucks now.
Big bucks compared to what he was making in the NFL? All right.
Endorsement deals.
Public communications. He needs to communicate to his teams. He needs to communicate to people. People need to know what his life is about. And Central Michigan's a great school. Hashtag Chippewas.
Yeah.
MAC conference. He needs to learn that. And I think it's good for him to go back to school.
All right.
He really needs it.
Matt, what do you got?
I feel like he's have to go in the law. Maybe he'll learn the laws and learn how to break them.
Law is not a major, Matt.
All right. So we have two ironic answers. I'm going to go with Adam.
Yeah.
That was gold.
was
The professional communications. Got to learn how to communicate. That's really good. That's really good. So, Adam, you got 2 points for that one. Tying up the score with Robert, actually.
It's
getting
heated.
heated
It's
in here.
heated.
All right, after their victory over the Oklahoma State Cowboys Saturday, the Longhorns celebrated their victory like any Pee Wee soccer team with snacks. Texas chowed down on some Popeyes chicken sandwiches. But if Tom Herman said it was your week to be in charge of snacks, what would you bring to the table?
Well, first off, I want to know how they got those chicken sandwiches because I know those are sold out. So, I want to know who their plug is.
Booster
Yeah,
money.
they're
Booster
legendary
money.
chicken
Yeah, they're
Booster money for
solid.
sure.
I would have to say, gotta keep it simple. Pizza.
Pizza, all right. Pizza from Matt. Is there any particular place you would get the pizza?
You have to ship it in from New York, not this
Ship
crappy
it in from
Texas
New York.
pizza.
Fancy. All right.
I distinctly remember being 7 years old watching a commercial on TV. It said McRib is back.
Ooh.
And I never got to taste a McRib. This is more out of curiosity more than saying the McRib is great. I don't think the people that are booing here have tried a McRib, just to state that fact. So I think, don't we all want to see what a McRib tastes like? And then also it's McDonald's, so you can get whatever you want. You get Big Macs, chicken nuggets, anything like that. I'm going to take the McRib.
All right, so we got McDonald's. We got New York pizza. All right, Adam, what do you got?
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its?
They're easy. You can get a lot of them. They're cost efficient, and the players will not be too full from after the game. I think it's the answer. Cheez-Its. I love them personally.
All right, that's a good answer, but these are big guys. These are college football players.
They'll be fine.
Matt, yours sounds good, but I don't know if they can ship pizza from New York. I've tried to get pizza. Minsky's Pizza. Shout out to Minsky's Pizza. The best pizza in the world is in Kansas City. I can't even get it from Kansas City to
That's
New
not
York.
true.
It's so
Cheese
good.
ain't
You gotta
true.
try it. I gotta go with McDonald's.
He's
you
right.
Got variety?
Kaminsky's Pizza is the best pizza. Kaminsky's Pizza is the best pizza in the world.
Think
It's
of the
true.
McDonald's fries. Think of the fries. They're amazing. All right, Robert, you're getting the points on that one. Moving on, the former Longhorn Shane Buechele led the SMU Mustangs to a victory over TCU Saturday after the rivalry game. After the rivalry game, the Ponies were awarded the coveted Iron Skillet, another famous rivalry trophy, the Golden Hat, for the Texas OU game. But apart from those two, what is your favorite rivalry trophy in college football? Anybody can jump in.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Big Hammer.
Big Hammer?
I don't exactly
Okay.
know what it's called, but the Paul
pretty-
Bunyan Axe,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay, pretty
That's
good.
my favorite. Wisconsin gets literally every one of those because Minnesota just stinks at football. But that's my favorite personally.
All right, that's a pretty good one.
I'm gonna have to say UAB versus Memphis. The big bone. It's a giant 100-pound rib rack. They usually do it with best barbecue. Whoever wins.
All right.
So, big food guy.
All right. Robert?
Imagine if we went to Dallas and we played for the Soon Horn Trophy. Imagine you just stuck two team names together for no reason. That is what the Cy Hawk Trophy is. Iowa and Iowa State. Who may not play next year
May
because
never
their
play again.
bands
Yeah.
got too aggressive, or I guess Iowa State's. I don't know. I didn't read up on the situation. You can go look it up on Google. But the Cy-Hawk Trophy is incredible. The fact that it's named the Cy-Hawk Trophy already makes it the best trophy of any rivalry. You just stick one part of one name and one part of the other. It is so sophomoric. It is so what a person from elementary would make that it's incredible.
What does it look like?
As I said, I'm not very well read. You can go and look it up and Google it yourself.
All right. I think I'm going to go with the big bone. It's kind of intimidating. I like that one a lot. Huh?
Civil conflict.
Civil conflict.
All right. And that means tonight's winner is Robert. No, what?
Wait, who did you
You
give
have
the
a
points
tie?
to?
I thought
Who
it
did
was-
you
I
give
gave
the
it to Matt.
Oh, then
Do we have a tie?
no, because I had
You had the
14.
second one.
I had 14
Yeah.
and plus 2.
Yeah.
Matt!
Matt, try to throw me off.
Yeah, Matt
All
was
right.
like, I was-
Matt's just trying to throw me off. All right. Robert, second time I've been called out for points on air. Robert
That wasn't by me this
wins
time.
against our victor tonight. Do we have time for FaceTime? Yes, we do. Robert, take it
Let's
away.
go for it. Last week, I gave a shout out to my sister who was having her birthday. My family's weird. Today is my mom's birthday. So I want to send a shout out to my mom.
Waking it up.
Every week, I guess we need someone in my family to have a birthday next week so I can continue winning. Thank you for my mom. Thank you to my mom for being my mom. You've been great. You're the reason I can sit up here tonight with a little graphic that says tonight's winner. Thank you for giving me this name too. It's a classic.
He's single, ladies.
We'll see you next week.
All right, Robert, what is your mom's name?
Melissa.
Happy birthday, Melissa. That is all the time we have for tonight. Congratulations to our winner, Robert. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Be sure to check out our brand new show this semester, the 1-0 Sports Show, hosted by Thomas Fitch and yours truly, Robert Trevino, at 7 a.m. every Friday. Also, tune in to College Press Box every Monday at 9:30 p.m. for the latest sports news on the 40 acres. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and Master Control, we'll see you next week.